Hello everybody and welcome to the Arkansas Weather Blog. We are your ticket to big weather events. If you've been following here on the blog, you know that I've been really watching for what's going to happen next weekend. Now, let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. We're going to have a period here of several days where the temperatures are going to really warm up. We're going to go well into the 60s here, I think, across the state, and it would not be out of the question, I think, for a 70-degree temperature, a stretch of dry weather. But I think, what I like to do here on the blog, I like to look at, what everybody's going to be talking about. And everybody will be talking about the nice weather, but the next big weather maker. And that's coming down the road, I think, by next weekend. And the models were in harmony, singing Kumbaya just a few days ago, saying, it's going to get cold and stormy. I felt pretty confident about that. I thought, geez, all the models are showing this, and now, as you would expect with long-range forecasting, it's not a perfect science. Now it's backing off on the amount of cold air. And I did have questions. If you look at my blog post, I had questions still about the severity of it. There was some talk out there in the weather world that this was going to be some brutal Arctic air. And that was on the table. That was what the models show. Let's just play this cautiously and look at it for a while. And now it appears that, it is going to get colder after a mild week. But I don't think it's going to get as cold as what the models were showing. It's really backing off on the amount of cold air. Could that change again? Absolutely. We're dealing with something in the long range going up towards Christmas. And once we get within 5 days, then I feel a little bit more comfortable. So for all of you dreaming of a white Christmas, it's still on the table, but I'm not. Last year at this time, I was thinking, wow, this could really happen. This year, I have serious doubts. But, with Arkansas weather, anything can happen, right? But this year, I have, if you look on the right side of the blog here, I've got the chance for a white Christmas in Little Rock, which means either snow on the ground or snow falling at some point Christmas Day. And that does include sleet, because the National Weather Service considers sleet snow. Ask them, don't ask me about that. But anyway, and I've got that as of Sunday at 7%. Last year at this time, I think I had it probably pretty close to 20% and growing. So I'm not feeling very good. Now, I do think some places in Arkansas could see some wintry weather before Christmas. We'll get into that because I've got a ton of data I want to show you, which kind of explains what's happening with the pattern. Okay, I'm going to start off with the GFS Global Forecasting System. And we're going to start this off on Thursday at noon. This was the overnight run. There's surface low pressure right here, and you're getting a warm southerly flow out ahead of it. There's the new batch of Arctic air. And this Arctic air does not at this time, as I was telling you, look like anything out of the ordinary. It looks like your typical Arctic air that comes down this time of the year. Nothing extreme. But you know what? You don't need extreme to produce wintry weather either. But this does not look as cold as the previous model runs. Maybe it'll get stronger. But right now, as we get closer to the event, the confidence in a severe Arctic outbreak is not that high. But nevertheless, this is cold air. And here's the battle zone right in here where you got the cold and the warm. But we're in the warm sector. Like I said, all week's going to be quite nice. On Thursday, with the Gulf of Mexico opening up, the southerly flow, clouds, and there could even be some light precipitation, but I think we're going to start to really see some clouds by Thursday into Friday. Now, this is Friday morning at 6 a.m. There's a surface low here. Here's the cold area of high pressure, which is only 1024 millibars. It's cold, but we have seen colder. There's the front, and it's entering northwest Arkansas on Friday morning. And it brings some showers to the state, and then by late Friday, it's turning colder. There's the surface high, and it's moving on off towards the east. You want this to lock in. Now, if you see here, see all these red dashed lines? That's indicating here that's a reflection of a strong area of low pressure aloft. So you've got cold air coming in. You've got a storm waiting in the wings out here towards the Baja of California. This is a setup for wintry weather in Arkansas. Here's the problem, though, that I see. The cold air is not as strong, and it doesn't want to lock in place as much as I'd like to see it. This is on Saturday morning. It's getting cold. Temperatures are below average. The 60s are gone. You got a northeasterly wind. You've got clouds. You got a few showers. And then that system starts to pull out. Let's just keep going here to Sunday. This is Sunday at noon. This is the 540 thickness line. This is typically your rain-snow line. It's never perfect, but this is where you're looking at the rain-snow line. And it's displaced towards the north. And again, because the Arctic air is not as strong as it once was on the previous models, it's, the colder air is not as strong, but you're still getting a cold rain here in Arkansas. The surface low, and this is the thing though, the GFS indicates a surface low in southeast Texas, and it moves like this through Louisiana, Mississippi, you'll see. So there's that. It's a favorable track for winter weather, but it's just, my question is, if the GFS were to even verify correctly, my question is there enough cold air? Now, the upper low is hanging back here, and I think that if you were to get any transition to wintry weather, and again, the thicknesses here are not all that strong, but with time, I would expect the models to actually put in an area where you see this 540 thickness, to put in an area here that underneath this upper low, you could see something change over to some ice or snow. And there's that track. But this is a Monday morning at midnight. Whoops. Come on, Todd. I hate it when I do that. There's the surface low and just heavy amounts of precipitation. But still the rain-snow line's further to the north. But you see this 546 thickness is collapsing in. And this is some area where you would have to watch for maybe a transition underneath that upper low. And then this is by Monday at noon, and it goes off towards the north, goes up the Appalachians. And again, on the back side of this, especially northwest Arkansas, you'd have to look for a transition. Now, this is what the upper levels of the atmosphere, this is what the GFS is looking. We're looking at a level called 500 millibars. And you see the ridge here across the Pacific Ocean. And the flow, again, from west to east around these ridges and these troughs. So you have the northern branch of the jet here. You see if you look on the very top of your screen, there's a vortex here. That's delivering cold air, that Arctic high, into the pattern. So that's your cold air pump right there. And here's your storm system that I was talking about, that upper level low that's underneath that. You could see a transition. Again, I'm just reading model data here. And you see how strong this is, and it's closed off, which means you see these black lines around it. It's cut off. And this is... it slowly moves out. This is Sunday morning. And there are differences in all the models. And you see how this tracks across the state and lifts. It opens up a little bit and lifts up into Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. I would want to see this move further south for any snow or ice. You'd want to see this take a more of a southerly track. Now let's go to the European model. Let's go to the surface here, the European. And it's different in some regards. This is, let's go Friday morning at 6 a.m. There's the surface low. Cold, high pressure coming in, 1024 millibars, fairly similar. Placement's different. And there's the front moving through Arkansas. Still hangs back the upper low here, but it kicks it out, I believe, a little bit faster. It also moves it further towards the north. This is Saturday morning at 6 a.m., and we got rain across the state. The boundary is hung up across Arkansas, so you're dealing with warm temperatures, especially across southern Arkansas, and colder temperatures across the north. And the wave out here, the upper level low, is not so much closed off. It's more open, a little bit more progressive, which means it moves faster. And this is Saturday at 6 p.m., and you're looking at the surface low over Arkansas. Now remember, the surface low in the GFS was further towards the south. So this pattern here is further towards the north, which is definitely not favorable for winter weather next weekend across Arkansas by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, the further north it goes, the surface low, you open up the window and the possibility for thunderstorm activity. Dare I say severe? You can't rule that out. This is the 540 thickness line. You have a new batch of cold Canadian air coming in, and you can see here the European is indicating the 540 line here. So you are getting ice and snow underneath the upper low. I like that. Kind of rhymes. And then it races that upper low off towards the north. The cold air comes in behind it. This is at midnight on Monday. The surface low is here, and you got cold air finally coming in. You're finally getting that transition to cold air, and there's a swath, according to the European here, there's a swath here in Texas and Oklahoma that comes out and lifts towards the north of snow and ice. And some of that could move into northwest Arkansas, according to the European model. So on the back side of the system, there's still some hope. This is Sunday morning. Cold air is pouring into Arkansas, but this is nothing that is extreme. Yes, it is cold, but it's not as extreme as what the model said. And on the back side of this, you've got a swath of snow cutting up from, it's very light, from Oklahoma, northwest Arkansas, and Missouri northward, and a 1038 high coming out of Canada. And it's cold and it's windy next Sunday. This 1040 high on Monday. But see how that just kind of moves across? This is Monday, the 23rd, moves across into Illinois. And let's just go into Christmas Day and see what the European has. That's Christmas Eve. Here's Christmas Day, and it's got southeasterly flow here at the surface. It's not. This is a New Year's Eve, by the way. This is New Year's Eve at 6 p.m. It's a long-range forecast, so this is going to change. But you've got a southerly flow commencing. It's not overpoweringly warm, but it's definitely not cold. I think temperatures here would be at or maybe a degree or two below average in this sort of regime here with the temperatures. So, you got differences in the modeling, and at this point in time, I would say that the chance for any sort of wintry weather before Christmas is definitely a possibility, but mainly for northern Arkansas. This can change. It's Sunday, December the 15th. Just as fast as the models changed a couple of days ago, they can change right back, but you also are, you got to think you're getting closer to the event, so the models may be latching on to what's going to happen. So right now I'd say that there's a better chance at this point in time the severe Arctic air is not going to happen, which is good for travelers, but it is going to get colder. We're going to have a mild week ahead, but it's going to turn colder without the severe Arctic air coming in, and we'll have to watch for the possibility for rain, heavy rain at that, if the European verifies maybe some thunderstorm activity. The further south solution is what you want. So there's plenty of time to sort this out. I have talked way too long, so thank you so much for coming to the Arkansas Weather Blog here at KATV.com, and I will keep you updated on Facebook and on Twitter. Once again, I thank you so much for coming here for your information. We are the Arkansas Weather Blog, and we are your ticket to big weather events.